So let's talk about how to detox.
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Let's talk about that.
This is really interesting to me because it connects. It starts to connect. It starts to connect a lot of the dots. So canonical thinking is 4 years. So okay, that's a long time. But if someone is listening to this and you are eating seed oils and you just stop today, right? Today is the day before Thanksgiving, 2024. If you stop eating seed oils today,
We'll give you till the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, okay.
We'll give them one more day, Paul.
okay, fair.
Don't kill them right before Thanksgiving.
All right, day after Thanksgiving.
Okay, day
Black
after
Friday.
Friday.
Seed oil, Black
seed oil
Friday.
free.
You're not eating seed oils and anything else for the rest of your, next 4 years. You will almost essentially remodel all of your cells, all the fatty tissues, all of your mitochondria in 4 years. But there are ways to speed it up, and there are things to do to protect your body against the oxidation of these seed oils. Let's talk about speeding it up. This is interesting. And probably, I will say from the outset, maybe not super practical for most people. So there are studies in monkeys, Cebus monkeys, and I saw this today, where they were able to speed up the remodeling from 4 years to 30 days.
Wow.
But they fed the monkeys a very, very low-fat diet. And when you feed a very low-fat diet as a human, you don't feel good, right? And I'm not really advocating for this. I'm just telling you research shows this in monkeys. And then it reminded me of something called the rice diet. You ever heard of Walter Kempner? This guy's fascinating. He died in the 90s. But in the 1950s and 1960s, he took diabetics and he gave them a diet of processed white sugar and rice. A 2,000-calorie, very low-fat diet of almost white rice and white sugar. And their diabetes got better. It reversed.
Wow.
But in order to do this, he had to lock them in a hospital, right? And there's controversy because apparently he had to whip them to get them. You cannot keep a human on this diet. I'm not advocating for humans being whipped in metabolic wards, but it's an interesting study that would never be repeated today, right?
Right.
So it's an example of a very low-fat diet in humans. And the pictures in his studies are remarkable. It's like a very rotund man, and he's rail thin after 6 months.
Really?
And the diabetes completely reverses. And even when Walter reversed or liberalized their diet, the diabetes did not come back. So there are now multiple data points of very low-fat diets leading to resolution of metabolic dysfunction. And I think what's going on here is accelerated membrane remodeling, right? So I'm just saying there are ways to do this. It's not easy. If a human wanted to accelerate the remodeling of your membranes, you could potentially eat a lower fat diet for 30, 60, 90 days. Understanding that a low fat diet is not super sustainable for humans.
Right.
But the other thing you could do is eat a very low polyunsaturated fat diet. You can look at the amount of linoleic acid in your diet and lower it. Even after avoiding seed oils, should you avoid olive oil? Olive oil can be 12 to 28% linoleic acid, right? Avocado oil can be 20% linoleic acid. So I think you could accelerate the turnover of your membranes toward a lower linoleic acid membrane state by eating no olive oil, no avocado oil. Again, do it after Thanksgiving, right? And just lowering the amount of linoleic acid in your diet. Beef tallow, 1 to 2% linoleic acid. Butter, 1 to 2% linoleic acid. Avocado oil, olive oil, 12 to 25, right? Canola, 25% linoleic acid. Soybean oil, 50%, right?
Wow.
Corn oil, 45%. Grapeseed oil, 55 to 60% linoleic acid. So if you focus on the low linoleic acid animal fats, the ones we've been told that are bad for us, you can accelerate the turnover of linoleic acid in your cell membranes. And butter especially, I believe, could be protective. And I'll tell you why. This is the second piece of this equation. So lower fat oils or fats, animal fats that are much lower in linoleic acid, I believe this will accelerate the turnover of your membranes. There's a fatty acid, we were talking about this last night, called C15. Pentadecanoic acid. Pentadecanoic acid. Most of the fatty acids in your cells are odd chain. Saturated fats, C12, C14, C16, C18, lauric, myristic, palmitic, and stearic acid. They're all odd chain. They're all even chain fatty acids, right? Odd chain fatty acids, C15 and C17 are starting to be understood, or we're looking at research. And there's research that suggests that C15 levels in your cell membranes can be protective against oxidative stress in your membranes. So polyunsaturated fatty acid, peroxidation, lipid peroxidation, induced cell death is called ferroptosis. So apoptosis is programmed cell death, but ferroptosis is oxidative stress induced cell death. And C15 levels in your cell membranes protect against ferroptosis.
Wow.
So the ideal level of C15 in the study that I think was published in 2024, I think it's by Ven Watson is the main author, was 0.4 to 0.64% of your cell membrane is C15. Where do you get C15 in your diet? Butter and dairy. Dairy fats and butter are good sources of C15. In fact, they track so much that you can look at someone's C15 levels and tell how much dairy fat they're eating.
Really?
Again, dairy fat being something that's been vilified, but you and I had raw milk. And in fact, I have to tell the story. So we got raw milk from Southwest Ranches. I love these guys here in Miami.
I love these guys too.
And
Shout out to them.
They gave us glass containers of raw milk. And this is raw milk from a cow. And this raw milk is so good that you can see the cream on top of the raw milk in the fridge.
Paul left to go out to dinner last night, and as soon as he left, I slowly poured the cream off the top.
You stole the cream off my milk.
I literally did.
He admitted to it.
I did. And when he came back, he was like, "Damn, you dog! You took it."
He took all the good cream. But this is such good raw milk.
That's a price to stay at my house.
I will willingly pay the tax. Thank you for having me at your house.
Yeah.
But you can see, and I'll post put on my stories or something. We can post a video together showing this.
Yeah.
Because I want to show this, because there's a lot of raw milk that I get that you can't see this cream versus milk. But like that cream on top of the raw milk, what you did there, Gary, is you got a C15 infusion by stealing the cream off of the raw milk, which I willingly give to you. Happy Thanksgiving. You had C15.
Yeah.
And that C15 changes the composition of your cell membranes. And that looks to be protective against ferroptosis, lipid peroxide-induced cell death. So what are we worried about? What are we worried about with polyunsaturated fats? We're worried about lipid peroxidation. We're worried about cellular damage. Eat dairy fat. This means butter is healthy, seed oils are garbage. So doing more butter and less or no seed oils could also be protective. So in summary, I think there are human and monkey or primate studies showing that low-fat diets can accelerate this. And I think if you really want to accelerate the turnover of your cell membranes to detox from seed oils, you have to get low linoleic acid in your diet.
Low linoleic acid.
Which probably means even avoiding, if you really want to optimize, avoiding avocado oil, avoiding olive oil, and focusing on butter, especially with C15 or tallow long term. That would be, I think that there's a case to be made for that in the research. And look, maybe in this administration we'll actually get some funding to do that study, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. I will freely say there is no randomized, double-blind controlled trial to prove that, but I'm connecting the dots with the research that's out there. There are mechanistic studies. There are studies to suggest that this happens in both humans and in primates. And so I think it's very reasonable to do that.